Hello, and welcome to AstroYoga. This is your weekly yoga horoscope. This week we're doing August 12th through 18th, which is when we have Jupiter direct in Sagittarius finally, and Mercury moving into Leo after a very long trajectory towards Cancer. And so this week can be really energetic. Like we have a lot of really zappy electrical energy, which is moving us forward into a brand new kind of phase. But it's actually really overwhelming sometimes, with a lot of charged energy and basically a shift change between Cancer season and Cancer feelings and Mercury being in Cancer for so long, plus all the eclipses in Cancer and Capricorn. It was really an emotional summer, huh?
So we think about this in the lens of how do we make this shift in a way that is passionate and high energy, and there's this new get up and go kind of co-creation energetic amongst our groups. But how do we make the shift in a way that's sustainable and that still functions from a place of integrity with what is best from us from a very soul kind of truth level? So
and we can't forget that full moon in Aquarius, which is also debuting this week. So full moons are really big charges of energy. There's a lot of emotional stuff that comes up for everybody. And also a lot of just, especially with Aquarius, which is traditionally a very electrical sign, there can be a lot of really big impulses of energy in your mental field in particular. So really creative, really expansive, but can also be really overwhelming. And so figuring out how to ground that into your body is really important.
100%. And to that point too, it's with those expansive qualities, it's how do we co-create and think of the collective whole, but then also remember to ground and to root in the individual. When you think about big shifts like this, it's really important to have a strong foundational, concrete practice to check in and reset, so that we do have the confidence and the courage and the power to take risks and to think differently and to dream bigger and to step forth towards what we see as success in our lives. And so yoga and putting together some super grounded, rooted sequences as a foundation to help us expand, and from that rooted place to really reach and stretch and grow, is a powerful tool so that we're really able to tap into these energetics in a super productive way.
Absolutely. I mean, I literally do yoga every single day just to calm my ass down, because I am such an Aries fire sign, and I have Aries and Cancer, so I have a lot of fire and water that kind of catalyze each other. And so I'm super zappy all the time. Literally people are just that's a zappy person. I met my booze friends for the first time, and literally they were that person's zappy. Yeah. And I was just I know. And so I literally have to ground my energy a lot so that I don't just go all over the place, take on a ton of different tasks that I'm never going to be able to follow through on, and really do that very typical Aries thing, which is where you start a lot of things and you never finish. And so I really found yoga to be a really great practice for dealing with the energetic flow and really understanding your own birth chart and where you need to work on things, which especially for us who are super fiery or really electric, it can be very much about grounding and really focusing on your feet. So I'm really excited about this, because this practice has really made me think a lot about how to incorporate astrology into the body, because it can usually be a very heady kind of practice, and so we don't really think about how it feels in the body to be in a full moon in Aquarius, or having Jupiter going direct in Sagittarius when it's been retrograde for the entire year. These are really big shift changes, and so I'm really excited to hear your flow.
And I'm so excited to hear that you have been utilizing these tools and these skills in a way that they really are, there is such a complementary aspect between working with the energetics of the universe and astrology, but then also working with the energetics of your own ability to ground and to reset and to root within yourself. And so this is just such a dynamic, and I feel just a complementary union of two very important and powerful ways for us to just continue to grow and thrive, and just to continue to move forward in a productive, healthy way.
I love it. Okay, are we ready for you, Shannon?
I think we're ready.
Awesome, let's do it. And coming up next, the yoga flow.
Okay, so we're gonna start laying down on our backs. So go ahead and just situate yourself with your feet in line with your knees, and then the spine nice and long. Good. And to settle in, just give yourself a second to scoot your pelvis away from your ribs. we'll take one hand, place one hand on your heart, the other hand on the lower belly, and walk your feet a little wider than the hips to let the knees fall inward. And as we transition into this space, close your eyes and release the jaw. And just give yourself a second to unwind and unravel and to consciously let everything go, anything that you were working on before this session, just fade into the background, and anything that you have to do after this session, fade into the background, so that you give yourself permission to practice being fully present for this reset. And within the practice of being present, we'll work with the breath as a tool to help us ground and to focus on the moment. So without thinking too much about it, drop into the breath, beginning to just observe and feel the natural inhale and exhale as you lay and breathe. Letting your eyes get soft, your jaw relax. Feel the back of the head anchor and ground. Feel your neck long, your shoulders soft. Feel your heart soften as the back of the ribs root down underneath you. Feel each vertebrae get long as you lengthen the pelvis away from the ribs. Feel the sacrum root and feel the bottoms of the feet root. And from this place, begin to control the breath. On your inhale, breathe into the bottom palm through the nose. And then on your exhale, empty out through the mouth, letting those shoulders descend. On your inhale, you breathe breath into the bottom palm all the way up into the top palm. And as you exhale, feel the heart descend and the belly deepen. Just stay here for 3 more rounds on your own. Keeping the face soft, keeping the shoulders soft, following that natural rhythm of the breath. Walk your feet in towards the tailbones and then lift the shins to hug the shins in towards the belly, your knees towards your armpits. So as we root through the back body, begin to feel this natural sense of rebound through the tops of the shins, like the shins are pressing into the palms as the palms are pressing down into the shins. And you're gonna keep this sensation of rooting down to rebound up as you lengthen the left leg long, flexing your foot and anchoring your left hip down. And then deepen that hug through the right shin, walking both palms on to the top of the right shin, the elbows spread wide and the knee pulls in towards the armpit. And just stay here for a few rounds of breath as you work with that juxtaposition of reaching through the left leg while you hug the right shin in. And breathe. You know, Celia, we're working with a lot of expansive energy this week, but in order to balance that expansion, it's important to also root and ground. Connect to the center.
Yeah, I love this pose, mostly because I have really tight hips.
Yeah.
So this particular one is really good for me. And I usually feel really activated in my feet, which is really great.
Yeah, thanks for pointing that out. Everyone charged through that left heel. And then keeping your pelvis rooted, we're gonna re-straighten that right leg, but this time lengthen it towards the ceiling and walk your hands to the back of the right hamstring. And to the point of extending through the feet and the toes, just go for a couple point and flexes with that right foot, where you feel the stretch through the top of the foot, and then as you flex your heel, you feel the stretch through the calf, rolling through the ankle joint. And if you want, you can take some circles with the ankle, releasing the foot in one direction, and then the other direction. Moving into a pointed toe, you're gonna stretch that leg up, rebend the knee, give yourself one more hug, and then lengthen that right leg out to meet the left. Hug your left shin in for the other side. Coming into that mental scan, you're gonna flex the right foot, lengthen through your right inner thigh, anchor your right hip down as you bend the left knee towards the armpit, and breathe into the hips. Sending some full, energizing and cleansing breaths all the way down through the pelvis into that right hip. And then when you're ready, you'll lengthen your left leg up towards the ceiling, unbending that leg, walking your hands to the back of the left hamstring, and moving into some point and flexes through that left foot. Feeling the stretch to the top of the foot, and then feeling the stretch through the calf and the hamstring when you flex your heel. And if it feels good, you can move into some circles, releasing the ankle in one direction, and then the other direction. Point your toe, rebend the knee, and then release the left foot down. Go ahead and rebend the right knee so that both knees are bent with your heels in line with your tailbone. Slide your shoulder blades down your back and just take a second here to lift all 10 toes and then actively place your toes down onto the mat so that all 4 corners of both feet are rooted. From this place, press down through the heels so you're grounded through the foundation. You'll press down so much so that your tailbone begins to peel off, your hips begin to peel off, and you lift yourself into a bridge. And as we root through our bottom side, we're really able to open and expand through our top side. Lengthening your knees away from your hips, lengthening your inner thighs in and down, and lengthening your tailbone towards the calves. Just take a couple full rounds of breath in the bridge pose. Feeling a sense of openness and expansiveness through the front of the chest, through the front of the hips, through the front of the quads, while at the same time you feel super rooted through the feet, the arms, the shoulders, and the back of the head. Take another breath here. And then one vertebrae at a time, peel yourself, melt all the way back down onto the mat until the pelvis lands. Hug your shins in towards your chest and rock yourself on up to a seated position at the front of your mat. From there, you'll sit up nice and tall, feeling level on the sitting bones, feeling your spine lift up, and again, feeling grounded as you pull the crown of the head towards the ceiling. From this place, you're gonna start with the palms on the shins, your elbows spread wide, and with a soft face, we're gonna add a little movement here through the spine. On your inhale, you're gonna rock forward onto the sitting bones, open and arc through the crown of the head and the heart. And then on your exhale, you're gonna curl back onto the sitting bones, hollowing out the navel, scooping and coiling over your lap, like you're scooping out a big thing of ice cream. On your inhale, you're gonna stack back up, move through center as you open and arc. Think expansion here. And then as you exhale, you're gonna coil it back in, scoop it up, and feel some length through the lower back. Go for 3 more of these on your breath, inhaling to open and arc, and then exhaling to coil in. Good, 2 more.
I feel like this is like a really good move for bringing in this like really expansive Jupiterian energy as it goes direct, but then also bringing it into the body and letting it coil within you.
100%. Yeah, really allowing this coil to be, it's like that reset. And then allowing that open and expansiveness to be exciting and inspiring.
Yeah.
Let's add the arms, shall we?
Go for it.
So you're gonna inhale, those arms are gonna stretch up towards the ceiling. Good. Clasp the palms, bend those elbows wide, and open up through the collarbone. So to that point, that same point, Celia, we're gonna inhale and expand. And then as we exhale, this time we're gonna bring the arms with us, stretching the palms forward. So that coiling sensation is so juicy. It really gets in there through the shoulder blades, hollows out through the front body. And then your inhale is energizing and opening. And then that coiling, there's something nurturing about it.
Yeah, it feels like you have like a active participation in the energy. It's like you're bringing it in when you're expansive, and then you're choosing to like close the circuit when you coil.
Which is so, gosh, that intentional like action with it. Let's do a couple more. Good. And this will be our last one. We'll inhale, open it up. And then you'll just release those elbows wide. This is another super expansive shape. You pull your elbows wide, the forearms spread wide. Just take a couple rounds of breath. And then release the hands down. Let's roll over our shins so we come to a tabletop position. With our palms underneath the shoulders, we'll spread the wrists nice and wide. Aligning your pelvis nice and neutral, untuck your toes. And we'll practice that same sensation of opening and expanding on our inhale, and then coiling in, pressing through the tops of the shins, the tops of the feet, and the palms to scoop the navel and lift the ribs. Inhale as you open and expand, let the belly drop as the heart lifts. And then you curl and coil, hollow it out. Go for 3 more of these on the breath. Good. From here, we'll find a nice level spine, finding a nice level tabletop. Spreading through your fingers, beginning to press the front of the mat away so we're lifting up and out of the shoulder girdles. Tuck the toes, take a breath, and then allow your exhale to float the hips up and back into a downward facing dog. Lifting up on the tiptoes and then melting your heels down, shaking your head out. Feeling length through the spine. And then lift back up onto the tippy toes and walk yourself forward into a forward fold at the front of the mat. Bending your knees, letting your head hang and grabbing opposite elbows with opposite hands. Letting the traction of the head pull the spine long. And feeling some length through the back of the hamstring as you let the crown of the head release towards the floor.
I love this pose. It makes me feel like all the stress is like flowing out of my head and into the ground.
Totally. Yeah, it's so good. And there's something so nice about like the effortlessness of it too.
Yeah.
It's just like our heads are so heavy. It's crazy that we hold them up all day.
It's a lot of work.
Okay. From here, we're gonna release those elbows, place the palms on the shins and lift the spine halfway so you find a flat back. And take a breath here, thinking expansiveness through each vertebrae. Keep that length as the navel lifts, drape the spine back over the thighs. Exhale. Let's do 3 more. Inhale, palms slide up, spine lifts. And then exhale to fold, to release. 2 more.
Yeah, this also just feels really playful, which is really good for like the Leo energy that's starting with Mercury and Leo.
Starting to work that energy.
And just like let yourself have fun.
Good. To that point, you're gonna press through your heels. Inhale, reach those arms out, around, and up. Ooh, for a big stretch at the top. And then exhale, palms in front of the heart. Good. Inhale, reach down, around, and up. On your exhale, hinge from the hips to fold on down. On your inhale, palm slide to shins, lift halfway. Exhale to release and fold. Root to rebound, press down to inhale up. And then exhale, gather it in through the midline. Inhale, reach down, around, and up. And exhale to fold. Inhale, spine lifts halfway. Exhale to fold. Root through your feet, inhale, arms circle. And exhale, palms in front of the heart. Adding on here, your inhale is gonna stretch you up. Your exhale is gonna release you down. Bend the knees, plant the palms, step your left leg to the back of the mat. Release that left knee down, untuck the left big toes, and then inhale the palms onto that right quad. Tuck the tail, lift the navel, extend through the crown of the head, and then reach that left arm up. So you root down, you lengthen up, and then let's add a slight side bend towards the right to find a little more space through the whole left line. Take a big breath. Exhale back up through center. Release the left hand, release the right hand, tuck the left toes, lift and straighten the leg, and pull the spine long as you charge through your left heel, extend through the crown of the head, and just take a couple full deep rounds of breath into that left hip. From here, shift the gaze down, press into the right foot, and hop yourself to a forward fold at the front of the mat. Root through those feet, inhale, circle it on up. Exhale, palms in front of the heart. Inhale to reach. Get long through your lower back, stretch through your fingertips. Keep that length as you exhale and fold. Bend the knees, step your right leg back. Release that right knee down, untuck your toes. Square your pelvis, lengthen the spine, lift the navel, and then float the hands onto the left quad. Crown of the head floats up, tail tucks in. And then use your breath to really elevate through that whole right side and that right hip. So a lot of times when we're in lunge positions, it's really common to collapse down, but I want you to think about this energy too of we root down, and then from that place, there's this natural sense of lift and that like excitement through that lift, as if the only thing keeping you down is the foot and the shin, but really it's everything wants to go up and out. And then from there, you inhale the right arm up and add a slight little side bend.
Yeah, I really like that because it's true. It's like in this kind of pose, like you can definitely be like not engaged and just like kind of chill, you know, but it's like having to like be active and like pull your torso up and be really aware is also, I think, really good for just practicing engagement and presence in everyday life. It's like remembering what your posture is like, remembering what you're doing with your body, and like just endeavoring to be active.
Totally, especially with the Leo energy and I don't know, like Leo and Mercury, that sense of like shining and getting big and taking up space.
Yeah.
Oh, good. Release those hands, tuck your right toes, lift and straighten your right knee. Take a big breath. And on your next exhale, you'll hop your right leg forward to meet the left for a forward fold. Head hangs, spine hangs. And on your next inhale, circle those arms are up. And exhale, palms in front of the heart. From here, you're gonna zip up your feet, zip up the inside lines of the legs, and stretch your arms so you're really pulling your spine apart. From here, you're going to clasp the thumbs, palms flip out. Shoulders slide down the back. Think about the body in between two planes of glass. So you're gonna lengthen the tailbone down as you zip the navel underneath your rib cage. Press through the right heel to lift up and over towards the left. Creating as much space as you can through the whole right side of the waist and the whole left side of the waist. Take an inhale here. Using your exhale to lengthen, get tall as you stack through center. Anchor through that left heel, lift up. Keep the length as you side bend right. And then again, think space here, so that sense of innovating and stretching. That foundation through your left heel allows you to really lift up from the lower back and stretch the limbs even further than you would think. Take a breath. Exhale back up through center. Inhale and center, and then on your exhale, go ahead and drop back into a forward fold. Inhale to lift the spine halfway. On your exhale, step your left leg back. Swivel that left heel 45 degrees away. Reach through your left fingertips. Inhale, float yourself into a warrior two position. Stretch through the wingspan. As you deepen the bend in the right knee, let your tail drop, but then the navel lift. We're gonna soften the shoulders. See if you can add a little fluidity through the fingertips, even as you're strong and rooted in the pose. And then from this place, traction your right heel away so much that you straighten that leg. If you wanna hop the back foot in slightly, we're gonna set up for triangle pose, which is really about this expansiveness through the limbs, but you have to be super connected through the core to support your lower back. So root through the feet, lengthen the ribs long, and then use your exhale to allow the bottom palm to float down and then the top arm stretch up.
Yep, that's literally one of my favorite poses.
So good, isn't it so good?
Yeah, because you're right. I mean, it's totally about the energy in the limbs and like needing to like keep your core really strong.
Totally.
I'm super into balances and like this type of pose. It just like forces me to focus, which I think is like really strong.
100%. And that confidence, you know, like there is an element of like that risk taking because it is like so counterintuitive than like how we spend most of our day. Like our physical shapes.
Yeah.
It's like someone's literally pulling your top arm up towards the ceiling.
Yeah.
As someone's pulling your bottom arm down.
And the more you can stretch this, the better you feel it in your back. If you're like me and have like a achy back.
Yeah, it really does get in there. Okay, take one more breath. And then shift the gaze down. You're gonna micro bend that right knee. Cartwheel your left arm down, square the pelvis, square the toes, and step your right leg back to meet the left into a plank position. From here, stretch through the arms, press the floor away. So this is super intentional. Again, strong through the foundation and strong through the navel. Shift the shoulders over the wrists and then lower yourself all the way down towards the floor. Untuck your toes, walk the fingertips forward and out, and then inhale to peel your heart up and out from the chest. Exhale to release. Hands walk underneath the shoulders, retuck your toes, take an inhale. Exhale to find plank into downward facing dog. Good. From here, we're gonna step that left foot forward, swivel your right heel down and away about 45 degrees. Tracking your left knee in line with your toes, your inhale is gonna circle that right arm up and around for warrior two. We stretch through our limbs, soften through the shoulder, root through the heels and lift through the lower belly, and then work the pose with our breath. From this place, traction through your left heel so much so that you straighten that leg. Again, if you want to hop the back leg in slightly to kind of narrow that stance, and then lengthen out like someone's pulling your fingers apart. You're gonna root through the back heel to slide the ribs over the left thigh. And then, ooh, good, stretch it out. Find your breath. Particularly that exhale to hug the navel towards the back body.
I like to think about like what I'm trying to call in during this pose. Like with my hand that's reached out towards the sky, I think about like what I'm bringing in.
Totally.
Like what inspiration.
I love that. In that sense of like light, there's some lightness there too.
Yeah.
It's just like that.
It's like a
sense
reaching.
Of, yeah.
For like specifically what I would like to bring in. You know, whatever it is that I'm working on that week.
Totally.
And then through the other hand, it's like what I'm letting go of. What's like being released back into the earth.
What a good week for that too, you know? Just to create more space for like whatever new is showing up.
Yeah, it's like Mercury moves into Leo this week after having been in Cancer for like over a month, which like Mercury in Cancer was a lot about like the emotional communication and like processing and just kind of reviewing a lot of like the past circumstances that were coming up in the present. And so it's like a lot of that stuff is like being dislodged so you can call something new in.
Bring it on. Okay, we'll shift the gaze down. Bend that left knee, release the right hand down. Square the pelvis, square the toes. Plant the palms, step the left leg back to meet the right into your plank position. Take a breath, and then exhale to lower. On your inhale, you're gonna open it up into either baby cobra or upward facing dog, and then exhale into downward facing dog. You can shift the gaze in between the hands, bend the knees, and make your way to the front of the mat to fold. Root through those feet and let that inhale float the spine up, reach the arms up, stretch up, find a slight back bend at the top. And then exhale, palms in front of the heart. Okay, so speaking of Leo, we're gonna move into a little balancing, playful pose. So situate your feet under your knees, knees under your hips. And in yoga, with all these poses, it's again inviting that sense of like playfulness and not taking yourself too seriously. So if you fall out, no worries. But to set ourselves up for success, think about your foundation. So you root through that left heel, that left foot. Float your right foot up and externally rotate the leg so that the foot lands on the ankle, the calf, or all the way up on the inside of that left leg. From here, place the palms at the midline. And think about pressing your left leg into the right foot and your right foot into the left leg. It's like that. Again, that's like this magnetic pull from right to left. And then the crown of the head floats up as the shoulders stay soft. You can stay here, or if you want to add on, you can stretch those arms up. Feeling that expansion through the fingertips, through the spine. Or, in the spirit of Leo, we can take the arms wide and even clasp them behind the back to open up through the heart. And then when you're ready, release that right foot down, release your hands, roll your left ankle out, set up for the other side. So your right foot's gonna ground underneath your hip, your left foot's gonna externally rotate, placing the bottom of the foot on the ankle, the calf, or all the way up into the inner thigh. You root down through your right foot, lift up through the kneecap, and then press the right inner thigh into the left foot and the left foot into the right inner thigh. Palms come at the heart center as you lengthen your left kneecap away from the hip. Your spine lifts, the crown of the head floats up, your chin stays level, and your face is soft. You can stay here and breathe, or if you want to stretch your arms up towards the ceiling, reach out through the fingertips. Thinking about equal length through both sides of the waist. pulling the spine nice and long. Keeping the length, you can keep the arms extending up, or if you want to open up through the heart, we're going to reach those arms out, around, and back, clasping the hands behind the tail and then lengthening the wrists away from the tailbone. Breathe space into the collarbone and open up through the heart center. And then work the shape with your breath. Good. On your next inhale, go ahead and reach those arms back overhead. Release the left leg down to meet the right. Release that right ankle out. Take a big breath as you stretch up. And then your exhale folds you over your thighs. Inhales, lift the spine halfway. Pull the tail back, the heart forward. Bend the knees, plant the palms. Step the left leg back, the right leg back into plank. Find your inhale in plank and your exhale to lower down to your chaturanga, inhaling into an upward facing dog and exhaling into your downward facing dog. From here, bend the knees nice and wide, drop your hips towards the heels and move into your child's pose, pressing the forehead down, rocking your head from side to side. Reach the arms back by the outsides of the legs, curl your tailbone, and roll up the spine. Crown of the head floats up, shoulder blades drop down. Swing your legs around, extending the legs in line with the hips. Flexing your feet and sitting up nice and tall in your sitting bones. Sending those heels, just like we started our session, reach out through your heels, lift up through the crown of the head, and then your inhale stretches the spine in the arms. Your exhale lengthens the spine over the thighs. Find a little more expansion through your inhale, and then you release as you exhale.
I feel like this is like the integrative moment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it feels so good. Because it really is, it's that, again, that juxtaposition of like you're still stretching and reaching out, but then there's something so nice about just like
letting it go.
Totally. Good. And then from here, you're gonna inhale, stack up the spine, bend the knees, place the feet in line with the hips. Reach your arms forward in space. Take a full round of breath here. Traction your heels away to curl the tailbone underneath you. Scoop out the navel. One vertebrae at a time. You're gonna roll yourself on down. Good. Then walk your feet in. Feel nice and rooted through the back of the ribs, rooted through the shoulders, rooted through the back of the heart. Place your right foot on the left quad and then float the shape up, grabbing the back of that left hamstring. Taking a few rounds of breath into that right hip. From here, you're gonna keep the heel connected to the quad, but release the left foot down. Reach your arms overhead. Keeping the shoulders grounded, you're gonna let your next exhale release the legs down towards the left so that right foot lands and your right knee floats towards the ceiling. This is a super gentle but effective release through your lower back while still staying grounded, anchored through the shoulders.
This is like my favorite. I feel like I do yoga just to get to this place because I have such a tight back that I'm just like, yes.
And there's just like something that is just like so gratifying. It's like, oh.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Take an inhale here. Your exhale is gonna float the shape back up through center. Release the right foot, place the left ankle on the right quad, finding that shape of a number 4 with the legs, and then floating the legs up, grabbing the back of that right hamstring to take a few rounds of breath through that outside left hip.
So I feel like now we're like winding down. It's like the end of class. And it's like the time to like think about all of the new energy of this week and exactly what you're putting towards it. I feel like working in class is to like work to be able to like handle the energy that's being thrown at you. And then now at the end of class, I usually think about like, all right, so what am I gonna do now with this like space that I created?
100%. Is that concept of just like allowing the energy to actually integrate, where it's like through movement and through breathing, it's like you're moving so much life force and prana, and now you just like allow it to settle. And again, from like that very intentional place, like think about your action, which is so exciting given the week that we have in front of us.
Yeah.
Very action-esque. Release that right foot, stretch the arms overhead, and then allow the shape to drop towards your right. Your knee is going to bend up towards the ceiling. So your pelvis stays anchored and your shoulders stay anchored, and you release through the lower back.
And so for this week we have Jupiter direct in Sagittarius, which means Jupiter's been retrograde since April of this year. And so when it wakes up in its own sign, because Jupiter rules the sign of Sagittarius, it just means a lot of forward movement, especially for signs that have been held back for a while, which is especially Sagittarius itself, but also the other mutable signs that also experience quite a bit of a slowdown. So Gemini, Pisces, all the mutable signs are feeling a little stagnant. And now as Jupiter awakens, they start to push forward again. So it's really exciting, but can also be, a lot to deal with.
Yeah, it's like how to act in a sustainable way with all that new energy. It's like ground and reset and then just explode out. Exhale back up through center. Release the left foot. Hug your shins in towards your chest. And then if you have the time, you can lengthen yourself out into Shavasana. For your final pose, that final integration moment, to let all that good energy, just let it settle. If you need to move out of your Shavasana pose, your inhale is going to stretch the toes long, stretch the arms overhead, pull the spine nice and long. And you'll bend the knees, roll onto your right side, and eventually make your way to a tall seated position at the front of the mat. Palms at the heart, chin drops towards the fingertips. Just taking a moment of gratitude for yourself, for taking time to do this practice, and gratitude for your ability to do this practice. And just know that all these tools and just different ways for us to reset and reconnect with our truth and with our integrity, all these tools are available for us at all times, and to be able to use them aligned with our horoscope and the weekly energetics of the universe is just such a radical gift. So thank you to Celia, AstroYoga, our astrologer, and thank you to everyone joining us today.
Thank you. Okay, so thank you so much for joining us for AstroYoga this week. We hope that you feel really ready for that Jupiter direct in Sagittarius, the Mercury moving into Leo, and kind of the end of Cancer season with all of the eclipses coming to a full head with the full moon in Aquarius this week, and learning how to integrate that energetic flow into your body.
way that you can root to rebound.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you. That was really great. We'll see you next week.